Normally, I don't record these podcasts with video. This one I am recording with video. So if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can see it with video on YouTube or on X. You can search Edward Sturm on YouTube to find my YouTube, or Show Progress on X to find my Twitter. This episode is about how I write. It's about how I do writing. A decent percentage of marketing is effectively communicating, and when it comes to writing, getting people to keep reading. Obviously, writing is very important. Whole fields of study in marketing, copywriting, are dedicated to just becoming a good writer, a persuasive writer. It's something that I've worked on for years, and it's something that I like and find fascinating. And so this episode is about how I use short and punchy writing in all of the copy that I produce with these hands. If you read my newsletter, if you read my articles, you see that my writing style is short and punchy. Short paragraphs, punchy sentences, very concise, just like the way I'm speaking now. In fact, everything that I just said would be its own paragraph. And I got this style originally from Moz at the beginning of 2016 or 2015 when I started learning digital marketing. I was learning search engine optimization. And Moz had this thing called Whiteboard Fridays. Anybody who pays attention to Moz is my SEO suite of choice. Moz is also the company that taught me search engine optimization, the basics of search engine optimization. They have some of the best content marketing. They really, really do well with content marketing. And in the early days, they had this thing called Whiteboard Friday. And the founder of Moz, Rand Fishkin, would stand in front of a whiteboard and explain different marketing topics, not just search engine optimization, not just link building, copywriting, giving presentations, speaking, communicating, sales, everything in marketing. It started with SEO, and then when he couldn't talk about SEO for any longer, he started talking about other things, and one of those things was copywriting. And he said, good copy isn't just a type of copy that you read on long-form landing pages, but it also works for SEO copywriting. The reason people write these long-form landing pages with these short paragraphs, these punchy sentences, is because they get people to keep reading. They work, they're effective. And so this Whiteboard Friday was about how to do this. And now this podcast, this episode of the podcast, episode 184 of The Edward Show, is about how to do this as well. So like I said, my paragraphs are usually a line, a single sentence, no more than 3 sentences. This is how I do it. No more than 3 sentences, usually a sentence. Sometimes the paragraphs are just a word to move you on to the next idea, or to give a dramatic pause, a dramatic flourish for the idea that I'm about to express. And we can compare this with ChatGPT, which gives these fat paragraphs, these thick paragraphs. I personally hate reading these paragraphs, and I think other people do as well. I think big, thick, chunky paragraphs, people don't want the chunky when it comes to their reading. They don't want that. It's harder to read. People get lost in these big paragraphs with so many different sentences. Some people find these short paragraphs, the short punchy writing style annoying, but I think the majority of people like it. If you're trying to write for an academic setting, it's probably not appropriate. But this is a marketing show. It's not an academic show. And so if you're trying to do effective marketing, this is effective copywriting. And it's even worse. ChatGPT's paragraphs are bad. It's even worse when you have a bad human writer who really doesn't know. So I used to have a lot of guest writers writing for edwardsturm.com for my personal website. And it was crazy. I would get, I was a kid, but somehow I was getting heads of big marketing agencies writing articles for edwardsturm.com. I was doing some pretty crazy stuff, actually. I'll talk about that on another show. But a lot of them, even though they were heads of marketing agencies, they didn't know how to put out good copy. And I would have to spend a lot of time editing the copy myself. And I would take their thick paragraphs, which were so annoying for me to read. I would break them up into smaller paragraphs myself, small punchy paragraphs myself. And so bad human writers are even worse writers than ChatGPT when it comes to putting out super thick, super dense paragraphs and ideas. But you want your ideas to be concise, and then you can expound on them, and you can keep on expounding on them, but you want your writing to be easy to read. Everyone wants writing that's easy to read. This is also good for dyslexic people. I'm a super slow reader, and short paragraphs allow me to read a lot faster. Just makes it so much easier. And like I said, Punchy, first of all, it's more fun. And second of all, it's more concise, so it's easier to consume. And people like concise. People love concise. What's cool about this method is it even applies to slide decks. So if you're doing a presentation and you're putting together a deck, and this is a presentation where you actually speak, it's not maybe like you're sending out a pitch deck to tons of investors. This is one where you actually speak. Short, punchy works as well. Back in 2016, I taught search engine optimization at Microsoft, at the Microsoft offices in Midtown Manhattan. And it was my first presentation teaching search engine optimization, and I was so nervous, and I spent weeks preparing for this. And one of the ways that I prepared is I learned how to put together an effective presentation, a presentation that had people engaged. One of the ways that I learned this was from Whiteboard Friday, from Moz's Whiteboard Friday with the founder, Rand Fishkin, teaching how to give engaging presentations. And like I said, it's the same principles. You have slides with minimal writing, put in images where possible. You don't want to have slides that are dense with writing. You certainly don't want to have paragraphs. You don't want to have tons and tons of bullets per slide. I actually looked at this presentation. It's crazy. My presentation, so around 50 people came, and I did a great job. People were so engaged. It was amazing. It was an hour presentation. I had 174 slides. Some of the slides were literally one word. I was looking like one slide just said eventually ... And then it moved on to the next slide, which was me expressing an idea. And I used that one slide, the eventually slide, just for a dramatic pause, a dramatic flourish. And doing this also helped me stay on track. That was another thing that was very useful. You have a lot of slides, it forces you to stay on track, giving your ideas. And so you might have an order that you want to express things in, and having many slides with these short pieces of writing and concise ideas helps you express these more effectively without missing the beats that you want to cover. I mean, even the way that I do my videos, if you look at a popular style of captions for mobile video, this is another example. People, sometimes they just have one word per caption. Whenever somebody is giving a sentence, it literally just says that one word and then it moves on to the next word when people are speaking. But you certainly don't have captions that express more than one sentence. It's because people like the short and punchy style. It's just easy for people to consume. So writing is important. Good writing keeps your audience. Good writing improves retention. This style works for videos. It works for presentation. You have people paying attention. You retain the people who are watching or who are reading. This is good for every algorithm. Every single algorithm on social media or every tech algorithm cares that people are looking at content for longer. You want people on your site if it's search engine optimization. You want people watching your videos for longer if it's TikTok or Instagram Reels. Same with YouTube. Everything cares about retention. And this is a way to get people to pay attention and also to enjoy what you produce. It's an effective style of communicating. It's the way that I communicate. You can see it in my newsletter, edwardsturm.com/newsletter, or you could just read in all of my articles, which are duplicates of the newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, you can just look at my newsletter and my articles, edwardsturm.com/articles. And it's worth getting good at, and it's really easy to do. It's so easy to write one sentence paragraphs and punchy, concise sentences. This is episode 184 of The Edward Show. This is my first ever podcast where I am actually showing myself speaking. I don't know how often I'll do these, but I thought it'd be fun to try it. And let me know what you think. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.